Hello friends, my name is Pam and I read a lot of books. So I decided to officially call this channel a booktube channel and participate in the booktube newbie tag. So that is what we will be doing today. It is a snow day in Austin, a rare snow day. It hasn't snowed in a couple years and I'm just feeling very cozy. I've got a pup on either side of me and I'm just ready to chat about books for a little bit. So let's just get started. First question is, why did you start this channel? And this is kind of an interesting question because I didn't originally start this channel as a booktube channel. I actually started it maybe back in 2021, I believe it was. I was kind of bored and stuck inside, as most of us were during that time. And I started a small business, Masapan Paper Co. And I was running and operating my small business from a tiny shared office space in our old house that we rented. And I started a YouTube channel because I thought it would be fun to document that and make videos about small business life. But I quickly got overwhelmed and I made a few videos and then I dropped it very quickly. But the small business lives on. I still run and operate Masapan Paper Co. And that was all before I became an avid reader once again. I rediscovered my love for reading around that same time, and over the past few years I've really picked up on the amount and the variety of books that I've been reading. So about maybe, I think more than a year ago at this point, I started a bookstagram just to document everything that I was reading, and I discovered how vast that community is, and I've been having a lot of fun with that, but I've found it a little limiting. Like, I just really want to talk and talk and I'm a little bit of a yapper, so I thought that booktube might be a cool way to expand that journey of documenting and sharing my thoughts and connecting with the book community. So here we are, giving this a shot. Okay, next question is, what are some fun and unique things you can bring to booktube? Okay, let me be real and say that I'm not coming on here because I think that my perspective is like super unique and special and needs to be heard by the world. I'm just coming on here because I love to read and I love to talk about the books that I read, and I don't have a lot of people in real life that read as much as I do and want to hear my thoughts on every single book that I read. But I'm a fan of the booktube community. I watch several booktubers that I love, and I think everybody brings their own unique experiences and perspectives, and my perspective is that of a first-generation Mexican American from the border of Texas and Mexico, and I think that informs a lot of what I like to read, the way that I read things, and that is what I will bring to YouTube. And I know that there are a lot of great Latinas making great content out there, but I think there could always be more. And I'm excited to connect with other Latina booktubers because I've met and connected with a lot of them over on Bookstagram, and that Latina Bookstagrammer community is so rich and beautiful, and I want to expand that to booktube. I think that would be really cool. What are you most excited for about this new channel? So I think I've touched on it a little bit already. I'm just excited to have a space to talk about the books that I love. I'm excited to grow my community, connect with other booktubers, and I'm also excited to challenge myself on a new format. I've made a couple of videos at this point and I'm a very slow editor, but I think editing and the art form of video making is really fun. So I'm excited to grow some new skills in that aspect, and yeah, just kind of like grow in my confidence as a speaker as well. I have a lot of trouble articulating my thoughts. I have a lot of thoughts, but when I try to convey them, sometimes I struggle. So I'm not excited per se, because that's like one of the aspects that I'm a little nervous about, but I am looking forward to hopefully getting more comfortable over time and that being a little easier and hopefully translating into other aspects of my life where I have to try to convey my thoughts IRL. Why do you love reading? Okay, well, this is a hard question. I feel like this should be the easiest question to answer, but it's kind of a hard one. Come here, Peppers. Come on. I love reading for a lot of different reasons. Come on. The main one being escapism. I love being transported to different worlds and getting to hear from different perspectives, and I'm a big fan of as I was saying, I love reading, one, for the escapism of it. I love that you can easily be transported to a different world, a different time period, and I just love how reading can open up so many doors that you didn't even know existed. I read all genres, and I love how each genre can do that in their own unique ways. And then I also love reading because it teaches you to see the world from a different perspective than your own. I have been trying to read a lot more nonfiction. I didn't consider myself a nonfiction fan before. I really started getting back into reading because of the escapism aspect of it all. But then, I realized that there's a lot of stuff to learn. If we're gonna get real and existential for a moment, it's kind of a scary time to be alive. It's a beautiful time to be alive, but it's also a little bit uncertain and just a little scary. But I think that one of the things that we can do to prepare ourselves, to armor ourselves against any threats, any oppression, is just equip ourselves with knowledge, and reading is a great way to do that. And I have been learning so much about the world by reading and just listening to different perspectives. And that's another thing that I love about reading, is just how eye-opening and interesting it can be. What book or series got you into reading? So I am very lucky and very privileged in that my parents kind of instilled my love for reading in me from a very young age. They were those parents that would tug me into bed every night and read to me. And my mom has told me that I was dying to start reading before I had the tools and the knowledge to do so. She said that I just really wanted to know how to read because I would get really upset when they stopped reading to me at night. I just wanted them to read the same book over and over to me, and they were like, okay, that's enough. And so I just wanted to start reading on my own so I could just do that without their help. So I really have my parents to thank for introducing me to the world of literature. But, once I did start reading and could do that on my own, I think, like a lot of our generation, the series that got me into reading was Harry Potter. It was very heartbreaking to me when She Who Shall Not Be Named started making all these anti-trans comments, because this series meant a lot to me. It was definitely what sparked my love for fantasy. This was the first series that I was obsessed with, and can remember being very eager for new releases and getting it on the first day and just spending my entire weekend just consuming this book. But after that, I was really into the hype of the Twilight series in middle and high school. I was very into the Hunger Games when those were popping off in high school as well. So yeah, those 3 series I think are the ones that really, really instilled in me a love for reading, and I think those have a lot of the things that I still look for, especially in, fantasy novels nowadays. I'm a big fantasy fan, but I kind of fell off for a long time. And now I'm getting back into it, trying to catch up on a lot of the things that I've missed in the fantasy world. But yeah, those series kind of are ingrained in my brain and kind of like core memories for me. As an adult, there was a period in my life, especially during my college years, where I read maybe like 3 books total for pleasure. I really wasn't an avid reader at that time because I was like really focused on my studies. I had like 0 extra time. Well, that's not true. I was choosing to do other things with my free time. But then during the pandemic is kind of when I started picking back up on my reading and remembering how much I love escaping into books. So the books during that time that really reminded me how much I love reading are The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. That book really sparked something in my brain because it was one of the first books as an adult that I read that explored sexuality in this way that was really beautiful. Nowadays, I'm not a huge Taylor Jenkins Reid fan, but I do love that book and hold it in a very special place in my heart. And then also The Song of Achilles, which is still one of my top faves. I read that because it was really popular on TikTok and fell in love with it. And Madeline Miller, I don't know, I feel like I owe my life to her because that book just like changed something in me. And I feel like I've been chasing the high of The Song of Achilles this entire time. I love that book, and one of my goals for this year is to reread it because I'm not a big rereader, but I feel like I need to read that book again because it's been a few years and I just need to see if it holds up. I know it will, but yeah, I'm looking forward to rereading that this year. Okay, there's these questions that are like, what challenges do you think will be the hardest to overcome? Which I think I kind of touched on it already. I think just like the trying to get my thoughts across. See, it's a challenge, clearly, just like trying to articulate my thoughts and becoming better at it, hopefully. I think that's gonna be the biggest challenge, and just like learning a new skill of editing. I'm a very slow editor, like I said, but hopefully I will get better over time and stick to it. I think sticking to something is also, I love starting new projects, but sticking to them is a little harder for me. So I think that'll be a challenge. When did you start reading? Like I mentioned, it's been a lifelong thing that I kind of dropped for a little bit, picked back up more recently. Where do you read? Mostly here where I'm sitting on this couch. I'm a big couch reader. I have my little spot right there on the corner. You can find me there almost every night. I'm not a big bed reader because as soon as I try to read, if I'm in bed, I will fall asleep within like 10 minutes. I have good sleep hygiene, so like bed is for mostly sleeping. I sometimes will go out to a coffee shop and try to be like aesthetic reading vibes, but I have a hard time like not letting everything around me distract me, so I try sometimes, but mostly I read at home on the couch. What kind of books do you like to read? I read everything. I am on Fable, and before they got rid of like their AI features, Fable would give you like a little summary of like, oh, this is what kind of reader you are, and it was always like, girl, you're all over the place, was basically what the little Fable summary would always tell me, because I read every kind of genre. I don't really know if I have a favorite. Sometimes I'm in a big fantasy mood, sometimes I'm in a big literary fiction mood, but I don't discriminate. I like everything. I am a big fan of like magical realism and speculative fiction. I find that contemporary, sometimes I have a little trouble getting into it just because I feel like the escapism aspect is a little lower in contemporary fiction because it is just like real life, and I'm like, I prefer something that lets me escape into a different world for a little while. But no, I like everything. I can, you know, dabble in sci-fi. I am sometimes a big horror and mystery girl. I have a hard time with horror movies, but when it comes to books, I don't know, I haven't really found something that's like the limit for me where I'm like, okay, this is too much. I really can read it all. I love reading diversely. I love reading Latino authors. I like challenging myself and trying to read it in Spanish when I can. I love reading LGBTQ fiction and nonfiction. Like I said, I'm trying to read more nonfiction this year, trying to challenge myself. My ratio last year was about a fourth nonfiction, 3/4 fiction. So I'm trying to like improve that ratio a little bit. But the escapism is sometimes too tempting. Yeah, I love reading everything. What does your book collection look like? Okay, so my book collection is growing, but I do try to limit myself as much as I can. I'm a big fan of the library. Most of the books that I consume are through the Austin Public Library. I am a big fan of the Libby app. Most of the books that I read come from Libby, either in audiobook version or in ebook version. And I try to limit my purchase of physical books to books that I have already read and know that I love. So I'll read the library book, and if I really, really love it, then I allow myself to purchase the book for my collection. Of course, there are exceptions to that. Sometimes if I just like really am drawn to a book when I go to a bookstore, I'll purchase it. But yeah, for the most part, the books that I read are from the library, but I do have a little bit of a growing collection of books that I have read and loved. But when I do shop physical books, I try to do so from local bookshops, indie bookshops. Austin has a great indie small bookshop scene, and they're just really vibey. So when I do visit, you know, I try to support them, and I'll sometimes purchase a book or two. But yeah, this is what my book collection looks like right now. So that is it. Hopefully I didn't ramble too much. I tend to do that, but I'm excited to be part of the booktube community and continue my reading journey and hopefully connect with a lot of y'all and hear your thoughts on some of the books that we're reading. I love reading, and I think it's such a fun way to learn about the world, learn about people, diversify my ways of thinking, and just build community, because like I said, it's an uncertain time, and I think the more we can connect and dialogue and build bridges, the better. So that is what I hope to do here with this channel, and yeah, I will catch you in the next one. Cheers! Oh, I'm not class of 2014, by the way. This is my partner's class. I'm not that old. Ignore that. Also, I will show you sleeping pups on either side right now. But I love the booktube community. I am a fan of the booktube. Can y'all see? She's being... I think she has something stuck in her teeth. Oh my god. Pepper. So yeah, I just love... Oh my god, do I need to pause this? No, let's just keep rolling. Okay. We'll pause.